welcome back to the channel, everybody. Again, thanks for clicking on and joining us. So last week we got the bulkhead off and a few other bits and the bulkhead on the stand. So today we're going to have the engine and the gearbox out, the exhaust out, props off, fuel lines, fuel tank and a few other bits. So we're going to start by getting the props off, then we'll start taking off the earths, any other little bits in the fuel lines, and then we can get it pushed outside. We'll bring the machine in, get it rigged up, then lift the engine and the box out away, and then we'll move on to the fuel tank, fuel lines and bits like that. So we're going to get the props off. So we've got the snap-on 3/8 gun. We've got a prop tool, which I think come from LR Trade Parts, and then we've got 9/16 spanner. So we'll get the prop undone. So we're going to get the prop off, then we can do the back prop. So get that in there. See, every time you do these, they get, that one's come in. It's stuck in the prop tool. That's full of mud. Come on. Battery's nearly flat. Sure full of mud. And there. Alright, so we've got all the bolts out. So now we'll just flip her out. He says. There we go. There we go. Stick that down there, and we'll just put the nuts back on there, and we know where they are. He says again. That's them on there, put them ones down there a minute. Alright, we'll jack the back up so we can spin the prop, get the back prop off. So we're having to work in front of our other unit because their other one's full at the minute of panels all over, so just doing it in here. Right. Can we get in? Can we get in? Just keep on it right. That's that one. really don't want to get on. Got it.
There she goes.
Oh, there it goes. Where's that one?
And he loses it.
Right, so that's the bolts out of the back prop. So
there she goes.
Back prop. Right, so now we've got the peripherals on. We need to make sure all the wiring's off. We've got an earth to get off there. We then need to disconnect these fuel hoses. Now, when I disconnect these, I always get a rubber glove, cut the fingers off them and zip strap it around there, because every time I do them, I ended up getting covered in diesel when I'm not realising that I'm getting covered in diesel. So we've got to get, so we'll take it off that one there and the one on the cooler there. So we take them two off, they're just your chassis ones, the rest over the engine. We've got them to get off, the earth, that side. Then it's just the engine mounts and the gearbox mounts. Pop power steering pump off, that'll stay with that. So we take the belt off, power steering pump pulley, take the power steering pump out. Then it's take it out. Yeah, so we'll get the fuel lines. I'll leave the fuel lines till last actually. We'll do the earth, make sure this loom's unclipped from the chassis so it can all go with the engine and everything else. The breather, the actual breathers and the diff breathers. Gearbox breather, sorry. So that's there. Like that. So we've got that, oh, and the exhaust. So yeah, we'll get the tools and then we'll get to taking these few bits off. Alright, so we've got the fuel lines off. We'll just put that over there. Stops any dirt getting in the fuel lines. Stops the diesel leaking everywhere as well. So we've got that one off. Push that one up.
Tight boy.
Yeah, you got to nick both sides at once, but you can't always get the proper tooling for them. Stick that one on there. I'll just stop anything getting in the end of them. I've got to get that one off there. Oh, get off. So we've got all the two fuel lines off from the chassis to the engine. Got the little glove ends over them to stop them leaking. So now we'll take the belt off. We'll get coolant everywhere.
Get coolant.
Everywhere again. So we take the belt off. We'll probably put a new one of them on. Oh no, we're definitely going to put a new one on. Yeah. It's not cracking, but it's fairly well worn, so put that down there for now. Right, so we've got that off. And we want the booze gun. We'll whip the pulley off for the power steering, which is 10. Then back in there. Then we'll remove the bolts that hold the power steering pump to the water pump. Everything. Chuck that one on the floor. Alright, now we've got them out, we can just pull that forward. And then we get the plate. And we'll just stick them two back in there. That one back in there. So they don't go wandering off. And then that little one lives in there. Slot them two in there so we know where they all are. I mean, got to go looking for them. So that's the pump out the way. Right, so next we want to crack off the engine mounts. If I get the right end of the spanner. Wrong end of the spanner. There we go.
You are a spanner.
Yes.
It's a spanner.
That's why I'm good at using spanners. They are my family. That one. Get this side one off. Punch the camera. Now we'll get the ratchet spanner on it. Just flip it over. Right, so we've got the engine mounts off. Just got the two 15 mils for the gearbox mounts. So we'll take them off and then we can get rigged for lifting it out. That side, this side up. Get these out, we'll get it rigged to the lift, get the engine out of the way, then we can pull the chassis loom out and fuel lines in the tank and that. So that's the mounts off, all the mounts are off, the fuel lines are off, the air straps off, these air straps are off, the power steering pump's pulled out, the exhaust downpipe's undone, so we'll go get the machine, we'll get it all rigged up, excuse me, and then we can get this bit out of the way. So we've got everything ready to lift, so we've got the machine. Some people use an engine crane, we're just going to overdo it and use this because we can. So we're going to get everything, chassis pushed outside, we'll get all the straps and then we'll get this rigged up, we'll lift the engine out and then we can drop it on the pallet, then we'll push the chassis back in there and we can go all the wiring, loom in the chassis and the fuel lines. So that's the engine and the gearbox and the transfer box out. We'll give this a good steam clean now while it's out. So we're going to stick this into our unit now, out of the way, and then we're going to get on with taking some more bits off the chassis, wiring loom out the chassis, etc. So we'll get that stuck in there. We've made a mess, as always, with coolant. So we'll get these last few bits off, the thing here, through bracketry. So yeah, it's getting there now. Another big bit out. Right, so that's the engine out, obviously. Lodge's just in there doing some painting. So we'll take the engine mounts out of the way. Some brackets to get off here. These will all be blasted and painted. We'll take them brackets off. We've got the fuel lines to get out. Tank, wiring loom, tow bar. Obviously all of these will be blasted radius arms, A-frame. You'll have a new A-frame ball joint. So have an all new copper brake lines. We've got all braided brake lines from Britpart. All new discs and pads from Britpart. So we'll get these engine mounts out now. All right. Ooh. 18. Right. Get up there. So we had a comment on the bulkhead. I believe it was the bulkhead video. Can't quite remember, but it's one of the videos asking about the prep for the galvanized bulkheads. So what we do is we'll run over it with a 120 grit sandpaper, and then obviously T-wash it. And then when the T-wash has gone off, the next day just jet wash it off to get any excess off, etc. And then obviously you can go on with an etch or an epoxy, depending on what you're doing. But yeah, you can, you know, run over it with a 120 just to clean the surface a little bit, and then obviously use the Mordant T-wash. And then you want to be really epoxying the whole thing, and then doing your seam sealing. Then obviously you can go on it with a wet on wet primer then, or you can high build it if you want to rub the whole thing down and do it that way. So that was to answer that question that we got left on the other video. So that's that engine mount. Right, I'll crack the other one off. We'll stick these mounts in our blasting cabinet and give these a freshen up to go on the new chassis. Remember, obviously you've got your engine mount with your little aluminium heat shield on it, which obviously goes on your exhaust side. So, got that one off. Got that one off. Right, so that's 2 engine mounts off. What we got next? Let's have a look-see. Engine mounts. Might need to take the bump stops off because it's got new ones. We won't worry about them. So now we really want to be getting the exhaust out the way. So looking at them bolts, we'll probably put some new ones through because they're a bit scabby. Right. Fuel filter airs in that come off of the fuel lines. Right. So I think we'll go for the old exhaust next and get that off out the way. Right, so we'll cut these 3 bolts off here, and we can, because they're not going to come undone, I mean just put a new nut and bolt through those. So smash a pair of glasses on. Oh, getting old. Well, alright, we'll get this exhaust bracket off. That's off. Oh. Ooh, that's hot. Ooh. Alright. Back box off. That's that off. Alright, back box is off. Right, so it's the next day. We've now got our new work hoodies, which we've just picked up, so I'm going to be extremely upset when I probably cover myself in diesel in about 5 minutes. So I'm going to try to avoid that one, if I can, which is highly unlikely. So we're going to take the wiring loom out now out of the chassis. So we're going to disconnect the fuel pump, split the tow bar electrics off, thread it all through, and then we'll pull the wiring loom out from the back, well, from the front to the back. So we'll get on with that, then we can do these, and I'll try not to cover myself in diesel, which happens every single time. So we'll get these unplugged and get the loom out. Right, so we've unclipped the fuel line all the way along. So we'll take it off from the filter housing block from there. We'll unclip it in a minute. Just going to thread the loom out now. So we've pulled it back under. It sits under the fuel line. We pulled it back through there, goes down through that little A in the gusset for the cross member into here. So now you really want 2 here. 1 second, I'll show you. So you've got there your plugs that go up to your bulkhead and your earth. It goes onto your transfer box. So basically, really you need 2 here so you're not snatching at it, you don't pull the plugs off. So you can just sort of wriggle it back. But when you put these back in, you want to get them all and tape them like that, so they're not all in one big lump to get it through the chassis. So when we put it back in, it'll all get taped like that, and use some fibre optic electrician's rods and pull it through. So that we'll feed that back that way now, because you'll never pull all of that this way. So you always go to the back. So we'll thread this out now, and then we'll get the fuel lines off. So we'll feed this out. Lloyd will get the front, and then we can start. Right, so don't just yank at it, because you'll probably rip a rip a plug off. You ready?
Yep.
Is it going?
It's coming, mate.
Yeah.
1 second. Keep going. Slowly, slowly. There's one plug in. Keep going. Right, we've just got these 3 plugs now.
Yeah, he's trying to work one in it.
Yeah, I'm just going to put them in. There we go, you're in.
One,
Yeah, boy.
2, 3, 4. And yeah. So that's basically your chassis loom. That's how easy that comes out easy. Trying to get it back into the fun part.
Yeah, we'll get it back in.
Right, so that's that out. So now we'll disconnect the fuel lines. We'll put some of the cut off rubber glove things on them. Now when you're putting them back on, they're all coloured. So you've got your, Lloyd will grab the camera. So when they go back in, you've got your black one, then your blue one, green one, and that's like a clear coloured. So you can't really get them right, and they'll all sit in an orientation anyway. So we'll pop these off, we'll stick these on the end just to stop any crud going in them, and hopefully not me getting covered in diesel. And
your fancy new hoodie.
yeah, my fancy new hoodie. So anytime I get new clothes is when I buy new work stuff. But then we'll undo the filter housing, take that all off as one. Obviously then we can wash all the crap off it, and they can go back on the chassis, the loom can go in. Then we've just got little brackets like this. Tank, we've got a bit of diesel to get out of the tank that's left in it, just to make it lighter to get out. Tank come out, and then it's pretty much there apart from the A-frame and the axles and a few other little brackets to get off. So we'll get these disconnected, and then we can get the fuel lines took off out the way. We've got the fuel lines unclipped, we've got the little condoms on them. So we'll get 10mm now, undo the filter housing, and then we can take it off in one big lump and lay it in here out the way. So we get 10mm. 10mm. Do you know, a weird thing as well is I've got a ginormous toolbox full of tools, and all
We're in this unit.
yeah, we're in the other unit, but I bought myself one of them Alfred, you know, toolkits. You know, I'm sure everybody else has got a Land Rover's got one of them. And to be honest with you, very rare now do I go near my toolbox, because I just pick the Halfords kit up and use that, because it's just so much easier, because it's literally all next to you. And to be fair to them, they're really good tools. It's always the last nut that's rotten in it. Oh boy.
Oh, right. Susie.
Oh, Susie. I don't know, can we say that?
Yeah, I'm sure Matt Armstrong won't mind.
I'd do this, hit my finger.
The angry spanner.
Angry spanner. Has that got it? Yeah. I call this backing plate, and that we'll have that all blasted. It is missing the front cover, but I think we've got a complete, excuse me, unit somewhere, so I'm sure we can find a front cover. Now I've got that stuck on my socket for it, so it looks proper. And obviously I think we'll stick a new fuel filter on it for him as well. I went and got the lazy ratchet. that one. So you've obviously got the filter housing and your backing plate. And normally there's a front cover as well. So that's off there now. So now we've just got to lift it all off in one. So we'll lift it off onto the floor out the way. And like I say, we just got the tow bar to get off, the tank to get out, and then it'll be down to stripping the A-frame and everything. That'll all go for blasting. New A-frame ball joint. So having obviously, like I say, all new copper brake lines. I think Mark has got all new braided brake lines, disc pads, bolts, etc. from Britpart. So they're all going on. It's also got new Britpart springs, shocks, galvanised front turrets, galvanised base plates, galvanised mud flap brackets. So I think it's just mud flaps themselves that we need to sort now for it. So yeah, it's going to look good when it gets back. These brackets will obviously come off. We'll blast them, paint them up, rivet the rubbers back on. So yeah, it doesn't take much. So we've pretty much got everything we need off this chassis now. About a few little bits, and then we can start getting it back onto the new one. Right, so we'll grab these fuel lines now. If I grab that.
1 second.
Yep.
Yep, I'm free.
Right, chuck them in here out of the way. Alright, cross those off.
And we're not covered in diesel.
No, I haven't got covered in diesel for once. Great success. Right, so like I say, we've just got to drain some fuel out the tank now, and then that can come out, tow bar to remove, the tow bar electrics, tank breather. Like I say, there's not really a lot left on here. Some bracketry we've got to finish taking off, steering box, and all the steering arms and the steering damper, which I think he's got a new Britpart one. I'm not sure, don't quote me on that. I'm sure he'll comment and say whether he has or not. I can't remember what is there and what isn't there. But yeah, so that's the engine out, gearbox out, transfer box out, radiator pack bulkhead, fuel lines, chassis loom. So again, want to thank everybody for watching, everybody that's subscribed so far, and we will see you next week. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell notification, and give this video a like. And anything else you want to know, just drop us a comment. We'll see you next week. Cheers, people.